Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback, episode 171. Glad you could join us. If you missed the first two episodes this season, we're going to be here every Monday night, 9 p.m. And they're on Facebook, but they're all cataloged on our YouTube page. If you could jump over there at some point, CSI Shocks on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. That helps us. We've got a couple hundred tech videos over there. So if you get bored this off season, there's a ton of great content over there to help you with all kinds of different things pertaining to your race team. And we are going to continue to build that library of videos over there. We're starting every week's show with questions from the previous week, and one I got that's going to require a little more in depth, and I think we're going to do an episode on it. We've already kind of planned the first 6 or so episodes, but we got a room for a bunch more this off season. Is dirty air and how that affects how you should set up your race car and adjust your shocks. But one I got in particular that I can talk on here without unpackaging a whole ball of yarn is why last week when I said you might run a slightly different chassis or shock setup if you're starting on the front row or if you're starting mid-pack, and this is pertaining to wing racing, particularly wing sprint cars. And what I mean by that is if you are starting on the front row and you're going to come off that start in first or second place, you're going to have pretty clean air on your wings. So you're going to be able to go a little more aggressive with your setup and have the car a little bit tighter for later in the feature. When you have all the air going on your wings, if you're out in front of the pack and you're getting 100% of the air over your wings, you can run your race car a little bit tighter because you have a lot of downforce. The car's going to lay left. The car's going to rotate. If you're starting mid-pack on back, you're in very turbulent air, and it's hard to predict how much air is going to go over the top of the car. The car might not want to lay left, which will make it extremely tight on entry. You might not have air going across the nose. So you see, if you ever stand in the infield at a place like Eldora or Knoxville and watch the start of the feature and watch the guys rows 4 or 5 on back, it's everything they can do to get the car to rotate and come off of turn 2 without wrecking. You'll see wing sprint cars bicycle, drastic push condition getting into the corner, and that's simply just because they don't have air on the wings. A lap or two later when they're spread out, it's better. So if you're starting a little bit farther back, you can't be as aggressive and get your car really tight because you're going to lose so much ground with the car being too tight until you can get air on your wings. It's hard to go forward. And as you know, if you're starting back in those positions in a wing race, lap traffic's coming quick. So you got to be free enough to be nimble. And then as soon as you get in clean air, you're probably on the wing slider trying to get the wing back to tighten the car up. Will be a little different scenario next year with a shock adjuster being allowed in high limit because that'll give them another opportunity to tune the race car. But that being said, we're going to do a whole segment on dirty air and how that affects your thought process for setting up a race car for a main event. But today's topic was from Matt. So Matt, reach out to us. We're going to get you a CSI shirt for bringing this topic up. But he wanted to know about the history of CSI. So we're going to go back in time. And we got to film a little segment at the very first little office where I started CSI back in 2009. Prior to that, I'd worked in racing my whole life, grew up around midget and sprint car racing. That was certainly my passion. Spent a little bit of time on the road as a crew guy for a World of Outlaw team. And at that point in my life, my career had been as a damper engineer in IndyCar and a season in NASCAR. But my passion was always dirt track and short track racing. So I started CSI as kind of a side hustle back in 2009, and it grew and grew. I left my job at Andretti Autosports later that year to pursue CSI full time. So we'll jump over and show you that video from our very first shop, our humble beginnings, and then we'll come back and show you the rest of it. So here we are, back where it all started in 2009. This building was Ricky Ergot and Nick Foss's race shop, and I was helping Ricky with his racing stuff at that time. Jake Argo was Nick Foss's crew chief. They just moved out from California. Jake had been here, but Nick just moved out, and they were going to embark on a season of non-wing sprint car racing. I'd been in IndyCar for a period of time then, and Ricky's dad let me use this office here and help me get CSI going. And so literally CSI started in this teeny little office that there's another business in here now, but 12 by 8 feet office. This is where we started CSI. We were here for probably 5 to 6 months. Near the end, I think I kind of expanded some stuff into this little office. And then we moved over by Hoosier Tire, and that was like 1,200 square feet, which was like a ton of room. So, but yes, it all started right here in 2009 in this little office. And Nick Foss was the first one to win a race on CSI shocks, and that kind of kick-started the whole thing for us. So I hope you enjoyed that little segment there. That was kind of cool. I'll now talk about the transition from that little bitty office to our first shop, which was a unit connected to Hoosier Tire in Brownsburg that Mike Allgaier owns, Justin Allgaier's dad. So we moved our shop to there. We had about 1,200 square feet. It was me and one other guy at the time. I think Brent Beauchamp might have been working for us after school at that very first office, and then he came on full time. It was just Brent and I for a while, and then AJ Hopkins came and worked with us over there. So there was like 3 of us for a good while, and we were just growing and trying to do everything we can to help customers. And a few years after being over there, I might have been 3, Speedway Motors approached us about acquiring CSI to be in partnership with AFCO. At that point, we were rebuilding a lot of AFCO parts. AFCO had private labeled some pieces for us, and our business with them was really growing. So Speedway acquired us and moved us to another location that was a little bit larger. During that time, they moved Pro Shocks into the building. The whole time I managed CSI, ran it, all the day-to-day, our same staff stayed. And then at the end, I was doing CSI and Pro for Speedway Motors, and I think I had a 3-year employment contract, something about that. And at the end, I just was ready to do something different. I didn't particularly agree with all the things they were doing and what direction they foresaw CSI. Our visions just weren't the same, which was fine. They were the owners. I was just an employee at that point, but it still was my passion, and it was my baby that I'd grown from nothing. So I decided I was going to leave the company. And at that time, they offered to sell it back to me. And so that was extremely enticing to me to get the company back. I feel like we had been stagnant and pretty flat. And that would have been like in 2018. So we bought the business back, moved it to a smaller shop over in one of Joe Saldana's buildings. And I think at that time we were 5 or 6 employees. And just really went to work building it back up. I learned a lot during my time at Speedway about business. I mean, I was a racer and knew a little bit about engineering and stuff, but I didn't go to school for business. So that was a good time for me to learn more about business and how to grow the business and things we wanted to do. And so, man, we just really dug our feet in. We had a super good group of people. Some of those people are still with us today. Even the ones that aren't are still CSI users in the field, and we really just pushed the gas pedal down as hard as we could, and then, as you'll see here in the next segment, that led us to building our current headquarters, which we have 12,000 square feet at the building we're in, and we have another 12,000 square feet that we own across the parking lot that's currently rental spaces, but it's room for future CSI expansion. And we've just been tremendously blessed to grow through all that. So we'll cut away to another video, show you kind of the rest and where we're at today. Matt, thanks for asking this topic up. It kind of brought us down memory lane. And please like and subscribe, share this video after you watch the last segment, and we look forward to being back with you here next Monday at 9 p.m. So So when we acquired the business back from Speedway Motors, it was our goal to build a new facility that could house everything we wanted and envisioned for the company's growth. And so we broke ground here in November of 2020 and moved in May of 2021. So this is our world headquarters. And initially we only occupied like 75% of the building, and we actually rented the other part to a race team. And then in 2023, we started the manufacturing side of the company, and that race team moved across the parking lot to our other building we have. And we'll show you what the manufacturing side looks like that we expanded to in 2023. So in late 2022, we cut a hole in the wall, put a door in, and started this. So in early 2023, we moved our first two machines in, a 3-axis Herco mill and a sub-spindle with Y-axis machining lathe. Since then, we've expanded to 6 machines. We got a 5-axis mill, 3 more lathes, and we are manufacturing about 90% of our components right here in-house in Brownsburg, Indiana.